Let's speak to a company that has these tests and is trying to get them out the door. Abdullah Sabyah is Chief Executive of Rightangled, a medical test provider selling COVID-19 testing kits. Welcome to the program tonight, Mr. Sabyah.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're more than welcome. Tell us how many of these COVID-19 testing kits you've currently got.
We have quite enough for the next 3 weeks with the rate of demand that we're currently seeing.
What does that give us? Some numbers if you can, or broad figures about how many hundreds or thousands of tests you've got.
We have about a few thousands that we are able to supply. Yeah.
And where do you get these tests from?
So the thing is that the first thing that we need to really be able to distinguish, and that's quite a misconception in a lot of people's mind, there's two types of tests. As you perfectly mentioned earlier to your guest on the phone, there is the antibody tests, which are quite immunoassays, which means they are just strips that gives you the indication whether or not you've had the antibodies, whether or not you've had the infection and you've developed the antibodies for them. And these tests are quite cheap. So whoever is selling them for £150 is taking quite is taking quite a big margin in profits. Now
Just to pause you on the other test for a second, to focus on the antibody one, because that is absolutely critical. You say that one, they're cheap, and two, they're readily available, that you can get them in.
They are not readily available.
Okay.
They are available, but they are not government qualified. So there are no CE marks on them, so to speak.
I see. So do you think the reason why these tests haven't got out the door yet is because the government is, or Public Health England, whoever, are trying to work out whether these tests are good tests?
Exactly. Now, they are not common practice within the NHS to offer them to patients. There are some sensitivity and accuracy metrics that needs to be determined in advance before they are offered to patients. However, once they are available, they will be really cheap. However, from my point of view, and I'm talking here as a personal point of view, I don't personally encourage the diffusion of these tests on a mass population, because let's say someone is positive to that test. That means that they might have had the test before. This test does not give you an indication if they currently have it, which in essence will bring a lot of positive results and a lot of people rushing their way through to the NHS clinics and to their GP saying that I have a positive result, what shall I do now? And that would only increase the pressure on the NHS. In my personal view, and from a view that I think that is quite validated in other countries, especially Germany, lab testing that is able to tell people whether or not they currently have the infection is a better way to channel the resources towards, because it can give you an indication of who is currently able to transmit the disease, and these are the people that should be quarantined, basically.
So the antibody tests, to your mind, are not quite the game changer that Boris Johnson suggests.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think they will only increase the worry and the anxiety. Now, it's okay to give the indication that you've had the test.
But why?
That you've had the virus before.
I mean, Mr. Sabyah, you're going to have to talk to me like I'm 8 years old here, because I'm struggling with this one. Why would it be the case that people would panic if they take an antibody test that says you've had it?
Okay, so there's a lot of people that might contract the virus without showing any symptoms. Let's say someone that does not have any symptoms, they take the test and the test tells them that they are positive, right? Now, this person in that state, what do you think would go into his mind? Did they have it? Is it cleared off their body?
Have it or have had it? Yeah.
Exactly. Now, the next call to action for them is just to rush to their GP and tell them, here is my result. What shall I do now? And that would just jeopardize the risk of a lot of the staff that would be in the clinic or just on his way to that clinic as well. So from that point of view, it might just increase that pressure, I believe. And I think taking a proactive measure towards lab testing people. Now, I understand there are a lot of challenges that currently the government is having, but by supporting manufacturers for the assays or the manufacturing of the swabs within the UK, we could have a more proactive and a solid approach towards this pandemic, just like other countries such as Germany and the likes. Yeah.
So let me ask you then about the other test, which is the straightforward or more straightforward. Either you've got it now or you don't. You've
Exactly.
got thousands of these ready to go, waiting to come out of the door. Given the times that we are in and the need to get them to the NHS,
Yes.
why is it that you're charging £199 for these tests?
So the thing is that the test itself is lab-based. So there are costs associated with the testing of the sample itself that we are being charged from the lab that we work with. So these labs already have a lot of costs to endure in terms of the setup to the lab, in terms of the biosafety that they need to adhere to, in terms of the reagents, the chemicals they would need to use, as well as the overheads of the staff that will be processing these samples. It's not an
Would you be
easy
willing to
process.
sell the bulk of your stock to the government at cost
Absolutely.
price?
Absolutely, 100%. And we've already have sent an email to the NHS England, and we are already in contact with NHS COVID triage team at NHS England and Improvement. And they send us a form to fill in with the details of our test, and we have filled it completely. And we received an email this morning that they will be looking into it and they will contact us afterwards. So just to give you an idea about Rightangled, we are a company that has been backed by NHS England through the West Midlands Academic Health Science Network. So
I'm not doubting your company's credentials at all. I think there will be people who will be surprised that, because you will presumably make a profit on selling at 199 quid, otherwise you would be out of business pretty quickly. Whether you would feel that you ought to waive that profit given the situation we're in, and
Okay. I will tell
do a
you, yeah.
moral good, if not financial one.
Absolutely. I can tell you what we're doing at the moment. So if you were to go to our website, you'll see that on the homepage, we are currently offering 50% subsidized refund. And I want to stress on the word subsidized, because when we are refunding 50% of the cost of the test to NHS frontliners, we are enduring a cost that we're currently covering by the revenues that we're getting from the individual direct sales. So that's one way that we are trying to help more NHS frontliners get access to these tests, so they can really perform their daily activities and really be able to do what they do best, which is save
But again,
lives.
and I know the answer to this, Mr. Sabyah, but there will be people saying, for the health and life of a nation, you could hand these tests over and give them
Absolutely.
to the NHS and work out a way to recoup some money afterwards. But right now, they're better being given to NHS staff in hospitals than sitting in your store cupboards.
Absolutely. The thing is that they're not selling in our store cupboard. I'll tell you that for sure. The demand that we have been seeing from people looking to get access to these tests is phenomenal. So all these people have the right to be tested. We do believe that 100%, as well as the NHS staff that are also coming to us and actually ordering the kits from us as well. So in terms of the stock that we have, it's flying, to be honest, and it's not something to really.
Well, that's great, because
think
you're
about, but I'm just
you're
saying,
making money in it flying off the shelf. I
it's
just
not
wonder
really
whether.
about making the money. I would like to just stress the fact that we
Well,
are
why
trying to
charge?
ease the pressure on the NHS.
Would you be willing to have the to have the government in effect sort of buy out your company in order to get access to the stock?
I have absolutely no problem at all. Not a problem at all. Actually, one thing that we would love to have the NHS to diffuse is home-based testing, because we have a philosophy in the company that home-based testing is the best way that we can deliver these tests to the people in need without getting them to leave their homes. This is the only way that we can really keep people at their homes, do testing at a scale, and at the same time be able to detect where the infections are. So we have the platform, we have the service, and we would be more than happy to offer it at cost price. Absolutely.
But not free. Not right now.
So free, what do you mean by free? Sorry.
That there would be no cost right now in getting this out the door. That you would be able to say that because you're doing this for the moral good, for the life of the nation.
No. As I said, like, we would be more than happy to offer it at cost price. We would be more than happy to give all our stock to the NHS if they need it and if they ask for it, 100%. And we would be able to support the NHS with the logistics of our service so they can deliver it to more people. Because if we can
Mr.
see the
Sabyah,
service,
yeah. I'm
Yes.
very grateful to you for coming on the program tonight, and you've given, I think, a really detailed explanation of what might be useful and what might not be useful. Thank you for your time. Abdullah Sabyah, who is Chief Executive of Rightangled, a medical tests provider which, as you know, is selling COVID-19 testing kits.